morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, September 2nd, 2021, and we're here for a work session. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Ken, can you please take the lead?
Yes, thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I have a couple of announcements today. First, last night's storm Ida swept through our area, dropping several inches of rain and bringing high winds, and there has been some power outages. There was 30,000 throughout the Long Island, and 23,000 were back up as of this morning. We have minimal power outages here in Riverhead. It's under 10, and they should be up and running by later on this evening. Next, I want to wish everyone a happy Labor Day weekend. It's hard to believe we are at the end of the summer and that our school-aged children are returning back to their classrooms, and we wish them lots of luck. And it was great to see so many events happening this summer as we got back to what we call our new normal. And lastly, as a reminder, drag racing events are taking place this weekend, and next weekend is their final races, and you might want to check it out. It's very interesting, and there's been a great response to it, correct?
Yes, so also if I can mention, I did speak to the executive director of Calverton National Cemetery this week, and she was pleased to report that there were no interferences. Volume was not an issue, any noise or anything of that nature. And so they were pleased for us to continue checking on it. I had let her know that during even the very first day, we had gone around the property and went over to Calverton, and everything was very nice and quiet. So
Good.
Yeah, the
it's
day I
really
was
running
there,
well.
the day I was there, Lieutenant Egan was there with the decimals or decibel reader, and he was very comfortable with the outcome of the noise levels. Yep.
No traffic tie-ups, everything has been running really well. It's been well planned, and it's been a great event.
Yeah, I directed him to do the checks. He actually checked every corner and into the cemetery.
Yep.
And it was within a normal range, and again, no traffic at all. I was shocked.
It's been running perfect.
Yeah.
So,
Good.
very nice.
All right, and actually, this just came to my attention. I'd like to announce the community meetings for our comprehensive plan. And the first one is going to take place September 13th, and that's going to include Agrabah, Northville, Laurel, Jamesport, and South Jamesport. And the second one is September 27th, and that's going to include Wading River and Manorville. And the third is September 28th. It's going to include Calverton and Bating Hollow. And the last one, which is the fourth one, is going to be September 29th, 2021, and that's going to include downtown and Riverhead Hamlet. And all of these meetings are going to be held at the Riverhead Senior Center, located at 60 Shade Tree Lane, and the doors are going to open at 5:45, and the meeting will start at 6 p.m. on those dates. And Jeff, can we put these up on our website for the?
Yeah, absolutely.
For the community?
And the other thing I'd like to add is that they're going to be held live via Zoom, and then Larry Levy's going to be recording them for Channel 22 as well.
Yes.
So we want to try to get full coverage as much as possible. So this
Yes.
this is a great start. This is only the first round of meeting with the public. Don't expect it to be the last. This is a continuation of the whole comprehensive plan process. We have the new website up and operating. We have the community survey up and operating. We have the interactive maps up and operating. So this is exciting, and it's the first round. We're also trying to schedule the next meeting of the Central Advisory Committee, followed by the I think there's 4 or 5 breakout groups. We're trying to schedule those as well. So trying to schedule all these meetings in a very tight time frame has been astronomically difficult, so bear with us. We're trying to get them done as far in advance and publicly announced far in advance so that the public may participate.
Yeah, I know Larry called me yesterday about filming, and it's great that we're going to film them, and they're going to be available for the public to watch at any time they want, which is great. You know, we got to reach out to the public, and it's great that this is going forward, and thank you, Jeff, for working on
So
that.
Jeff, will they be able to weigh in like we did with UDA? People weighed in via Zoom?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
And then with the Town Square ones and the Pattern Book ones, then people also went into breakout groups and then came back together. Do you know if it's that sort of forum? Because I thought that worked well.
The breakout groups, those are the topic-oriented groups, like one's on environment, one's on that, then that will come back, all the recommendations will come back to the central committee for a group discussion at that point.
Okay, the only reason I'm asking that, that made it nice because if it was a large group of people in the Zoom, you were able to work in a small group and then come back together to report
Yeah,
out.
the Zoom is great, a really powerful tool. Very happy to have that.
So will they break into the groups? I didn't
Yes,
understand
yeah.
the answer.
it-
Okay,
Yeah, the four, I forget how many topic groups are. One's on downtown, or Route 58, one's on environment, one's on housing, community services, and one's on farmland preservation. I think those are the four.
all right, thank you. Thanks, Jeff.
Sure.
Okay, we're done? All right, due to a scheduling conflict, our head planner, I'm going to ask Jeff Murphy and Frank Mancini to come forward to discuss matters surrounding the conditions of the final site plan approval for Island Water Park. And I know that, Catherine, I tried to reach out to you yesterday to have a meeting to figure this out, but I was able to get some information.
Yeah, I did answer you.
Yeah, okay. We're gonna go forward with that. Apparently, we're gonna let Frank go forward, because you sent an email concerning, a well at the
Yep.
Island Water Park, and then Catherine asked for it to be put up for work session, and I know I spoke to you yesterday, so you seem like you wanna go first, okay.
Yeah,
go ahead.
just to give some background as to where we
Okay.
are in the process, I think that's first and foremost, just to educate the board. This received preliminary site plan approval back on July 7th of this year. It had a number of conditions in order for them to submit a final site plan application, which we have not received at this point. We have Frank Mancini's 2 emails about requested water well testing, and when we get the application in, we're going to add those as conditions of approval. Frank has spoken with the applicant, I've spoken with the applicant, Bob Kozakevich has spoken with the applicant, I believe. He's agreed to it, so it's just a question of when the application is submitted, we'll make sure those Frank's conditions or requirements.
I just want to ask, when Frank sent out that letter, was the applicant notified then?
I don't know if, Frank, did
Your
you send
email?
that directly to them, or was it just?
No, the April 16th letter,
Okay.
I sent it to planning. That tells us, you know, what the wells, the site's in the capture zone, we want a monitoring well down gradient, we want to sample it for water contaminants. I didn't follow up with that letter.
Oh,
And I
okay.
should have followed up with planning and to make sure that, I assumed that it was going to be forwarded to the applicant.
Does the applicant have that letter now?
I don't think they've ever got my April 16th, I'll tell you the whole story, the April 16th letter.
I just want to say, I contacted the applicant via phone and had a conversation with him at that time,
Yeah.
based upon that
That's so
letter.
he knew.
I had spoke to
Absolutely.
them personally too, but we had no
Thank you,
formal
Emery.
communication. I think the formal letter is what we were looking for. So it was actually Anne Marie who really pushed me, said, you know, follow up with planning, make sure they did something with your letter. So when I followed up with planning, what they did, what they were going to do is say, at the time of service application, Island Water Park, deal with any requests from the water district, which right now would be a great response for a modern-day project, because in our map and plan, we would have identified this and communicated the need for the monitoring well and sampling
Okay.
at that time. What they didn't know was that Island Water Parks had a water service for 20 years, which is a very unusual thing. So this is not a catastrophe, this was just a lack of communication, and we've recovered from it by now. So at that time, we said, oh, okay, well, that's not a good answer for this one, because they've got a service and I don't have any leverage
Okay.
over them, so there's no communication occurring between us.
All right, so
So here we
you
are
can
now.
go back to 20 years. The fact is, let's go back to 2021. We need a well there. It was communicated orally to the applicant. There was a letter that you generated and you sent out earlier this week, I believe, Frank, and make sure that the applicant gets the letter. And it's going to be part of the site plan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that, is there anything else?
I just, was this something that was just added to a requirement for them, or is this something that was established in the early stages? this testing well.
No, the testing well is, you want to? No, the testing well is a new idea for me, but the fact that the site resides within the capture zone of Plan 11 has been documented by the DEC and other agencies for close to 20 years. So if my position for the water district is we don't have a formal communication in here, we're not looking good. Somebody asked, what are you doing to manage the resources of Riverhead? This is what we're showing them. We're saying, we're making formal requests in
Okay.
writing, and here it is.
So Frank,
That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, I think you should back up a little just because the public needs to know what
Mm-hmm.
you're talking about. Just back up a little bit to what your original concern was, because
Every well in the water district and every well, in fact, in New York State has what's called a source water assessment analysis done where we know the precipitation and recharge that occurs in the ground if that's going to enter a public water supply well. In this particular case, this site resides within the capture zone of one of our most important sites. The wells are screened quite shallow, so anything that occurs and recharges at that site will someday make it to our Plant 11. This is not I don't think that this particular operation is a tremendous threat, this type of land use to groundwater, but you never know. And when I talked to the applicant, I said, this protects us both, because God forbid something we don't expect is occurring, and we don't pick it up right at the property line where we can address it, and we capture it in our Plant 11, we're coming after you, and we're gonna sue you for millions of dollars for the treatment costs. So it's
All right.
in both of our interests
Frank,
to protect
Wait,
ourselves.
I had a couple more questions.
I'm just answering the question.
Yeah, so Frank, yeah, I think that was a serious.
This is the type of sound water resource management that Riverhead needs to get better at, and this is how we're gonna do it.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement, Frank. And just to go back a little bit to what was said this morning, certainly that's a major concern, I think, with our Plant 11 right there. And I think that, I would think that from water, you guys are coordinating it, so you're sending the information to planning, and you're assuming that they are communicating with the applicant, correct?
That was the assumption that I made.
So I would think that would be a normal assumption, that you guys are coordinating everything. He's giving you this information, and that should be distributed to the applicant. But also, the applicant got a straight phone call from our attorney's office. So, I mean, I'm not seeing that there was a communication problem here. I feel as though,
I think we're all working together on it.
Well, yeah, I
yeah,
know.
but it
no,
was communicated to the
the-
applicant, I'm gonna say in April.
If there was any misstep, it was the assumption that they didn't have a water service. That's unusual. Like I said, right now, if this project occurred right now, we would have addressed this that would have been the best answer. Deal with the water district's request at the time of service application, and we would have addressed this in our map and plan. What made this unique and why that didn't work this time is because they had the water service 20 years ago. That's a very unusual condition. So it wasn't like a malicious or negligence
Well,
on the
hold on.
planning
I
department.
So
see
they
the
had that
applicant is
service
here.
from so long ago because this project
project's
started
so
a long
old,
time
yeah,
ago.
we wouldn't
Applicants
allow
hold on
that.
And
a thing.
Jeff, when
It's
you,
not just general
Jeff,
counsel.
Hold on.
We see
excuse
that
me.
the applicant
Well, I
is
was still
here.
talking, if I could I'm just gonna finish up here. So Jeff, when you got this letter and this information from Frank on April 16th, what did you do with that? What happened from there? What did your office do?
Greg, do you know?
I rely on the town attorney's office and the community.
Greg, you gotta come to the mic. So you send a letter from the water department to planning about your concerns, and then I wanna know what transpired that day.
So I was under the impression that, as Anne Marie said, it was communicated to the applicant. I cannot recall if I formally sent the letter to the applicant, but I know that it was communicated to them.
But
All right, so-
you were assuming that Frank communicated to them?
I was assuming that it was communicated through the water district, yes.
I think this is a minutia point. Let
No,
me
I
run the
think it's an
meeting,
important point.
Catherine.
No,
It's a
I think it's
minutia, that's
very
why-
important
It is
that we
important.
keep the proper
Thank
communication
you,
happening.
Greg. I need to run the meeting so it can go smoothly
And I
instead of
am
pointing
allowed to weigh
fingers.
in.
I see that the applicant is here. Do you have anything to say? This is your project, and you have a right at work session to discuss once a project comes forward.
Yeah, I'd like to say I was there when Frank said it, and he did. He said that we'd like to do it, and we were in full support. You know, we agree, we're part of the community. We want everything to go smoothly, and we don't want to hurt the environment. We told them we'd absolutely do it. It was never a condition of our site plan approval. That was a little bit of a surprise, and I'm normally the point of contact. I explained that to Anne Marie because I'm handling the
Okay.
day-to-day operations. Eric has a lot of balls in the air. But either way, this is no problem on our end. I've already communicated directly with Frank this morning. It came to my attention yesterday. Jeff and Greg have done a fantastic job. They're more than fair. They're taking care of it. And Frank, he's going to get what he needs. We're going
And-
to take care of it together. That's it.
Okay, and Jeff, you're gonna make sure that that's part of the final
final
site plan?
condition. Uh-huh.
All right, so it's gonna be done, right?
It's going to get done. And
Okay.
honestly, Frank and I communicate. We have no issues whatsoever. And
Okay.
this wasn't an issue for us at all. We wanted to do
Okay.
it. So
All right,
we'll get
so-
it done, and we'll also have it for the site plan. We have other fish to fry in that department. So the timing of it, getting it, he's going to work with our engineering department. We're going to pay for that part of it to help guide him through the process and guide us through the process. So we'll do it as a team.
So Jeff, there is no problem here, right?
No.
It's gonna become part of the site plan, the final site plan.
Yes.
It's addressed, and Frank, your concerns were addressed?
Yeah.
Everybody's working together,
Yeah.
happy family for the Island Water Park? Okay.
Jeff and Greg reach out to me, and they communicate fantastically. Frank has
They
been
do?
fantastic. I have no issues with anybody. Everybody's been doing a great job, all of you as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you,
And Greg
sir.
has done a really outstanding job, not only on this application, but other applications as well.
Okay.
And on this one, on other issues regarding this application, he took the initiative and reached out and got some really, some potentially serious concerns addressed through the application review process. So Greg has done an outstanding job, not only with this application, but other applications as well.
Okay, well, that's our job, right? To take care of things and everybody work together
And, yeah, I'm gonna say that I do have a problem with the way things transpired, and I would not want to see this happen again. When you guys are working on a project, and from within the town, department heads are giving you information, that information needs to be taken into account at that time, and I feel as though at planning, it's your job to make sure the applicant knows about that. So I would hope that moving forward, that would be what happened. I feel as though are you saying every department head reaches out to an applicant that's at planning? That doesn't seems like one entity should be coordinating it. I would think that's the way it is, correct?
In some cases, in most cases, yes. In this case, this is such a technical area that the Water District has been in contact with them throughout the process. The town attorney, as the attorneys for the Water District have been talking with the applicant. This has been a three-way process. It's not a one-way department.
It's got many
But
facets and.
But if if you're looking at the site plan, you're working with the project, the information's coming in from the different departments, and I think since you are the ones looking at the project, you need to make sure the applicant knows about it.
So I just want to add, Greg is very proactive, and he and I started working yesterday on kind of a better procedural mechanism for the projects. And we're going to continue that. We have like a preliminary outline of how we want it to flow, and I think it'll be terrific.
And I'm gonna say that's my main point. I feel like, there needs to be a better procedural mechanism so that something like this doesn't happen again.
This was unique in that typically, we would have a map and plan for a project. Since this, more than 20 years ago, had water to the site, we weren't talking about a map and plan. So there wasn't that typical standard mechanism with the map and plan being filed and recorded with the planning department. But you're right, it's always good to improve communication.
That's right.
And fine tune how the channels of communication are going to work throughout the planning process. And who's going to notify the applicant, and how it then gets transmitted to the planning board or the town board, as the case may be.
Right,
So I
exactly.
agree.
Because if the different departments are responsible for reaching out to the applicant, they should have that information. It doesn't seem as though that's how it should be.
Yep, and that's our job, to correct anything and make sure that we keep government flowing as best as possible. So thank you guys for coming.
You're welcome.
I know that you have to run, Jeff, good luck where you're going, and we're going to move on to our next discussion. It's going to be our last discussion. Today we are going to discuss loose leaf pickup. I know that this has been before the board in the last couple of years, at least 4 times, at my recommendations, and there's been some differences of opinions as to funding and who's responsible, and especially now due to COVID and seeing the resurgence in the Delta variant, I think some of the seniors have reached out to us, and they're very, very concerned having to address these loose leaf pickup, and I'm bringing it back on the board once again. I have our accountant here, I have Anne Marie, and, let's start a healthy conversation on this. I personally think that we should reinstate, and it's our responsibility to ensure that we take care of the needs of our community. And I understand there probably is a petition out there running around, requesting it, and I'm going to let you.
Well, just when you mention COVID, sometimes you say, well, how does COVID relate to it? Well, COVID's been a financial burden on all of our residents. And so especially our seniors, some retired on limited income. And so not having the ability for the entire time of year to go
Hold
out.
on, we're missing a council member who left, Catherine Kent.
I think she went to the bathroom, I'm not really sure.
Okay, because we should have this is
Sure.
we only have 3 members, so I think we
I
should.
was getting a phone call, but I didn't get up to take it.
So should we wait?
Yeah. Is she going to join us? Catherine Kent?
But not the formal, but I just think there was a financial strain on seniors that are on limited income and having not the ability to go out and go shopping and to look around and
She's
get the
not
best
in the
price.
bathroom?
So-
All right, go ahead, continue.
No, so it puts a financial hardship on them working on limited income and to be able to have to hire landscapers to come in. They're concerned about leaves remaining on property, on sidewalks, driveways, slipping hazards and things like that. So we'd like to help the seniors. We'd like to be able to make it more cost efficiently to be able to pick up the leaves. But obviously, we want to confirm that we have the financial ability to do so. And so that's one of our main discussions today, is to go over, to make sure that we have the mechanical needs, the staffing needs, and the financial needs to provide the service. I've never gotten a phone call from somebody asking me not to do it. So
Well,
it's
so
something we'd
somebody's-
like to see happen. And I think it's something that in terms of history has been done for many, many years. And I think we did a little research on that, and maybe we can invite Anne Marie up. I don't know if you want to wait for the councilwoman or,
Yeah, I think so.
here she is.
All right, Catherine, you're back. Catherine, why don't you join us up here as a team? It'd be nice.
Pardon me?
Yeah. Why don't you join us up here for the board?
No, I'm good down here. I went to get my glasses.
Okay, so we're discussing leaf pickup. And I just want to add to what your discussion is that, some of the seniors don't want to bring them to to be disposed
Don't
of.
have the ability to do a lot of them, don't have
The
a car,
ability, and or
transport.
they drive, and they're scared because of COVID.
Yeah.
And we had the town attorney look into this matter, and there is some documented past precedents in concerning the highway department
Right.
picking up. And I have asked the highway department superintendent and the deputy to show up to our meetings. We put this issue over to the following meetings. We have email, and they're not coming, whatever reason it is. We're not going to get into that, but we need to take care of the public, and we're here as a board, and I did speak to Councilman Hubbard this morning, and he is 100% supportive, as he has in the past, and he has indicated that they do have the employees, they do have the monies, he's fully aware, and he told me to express that to the board today. So can we, Anne Marie?
Sure, so my goal is just to give you kind of like a factual outline. So, and I shared it with all the town board members. It appears that beginning in 1968, the town of Riverhead began a leaf service for its residents. I provided you some copies of pages from 1968, 1972, clearly describing that the highway department was doing the function of loose leaf pickup.
Through minutes of like work sessions and board meetings.
Correct. Even budget, transfers and items like that. In addition, I provided you with copies of news articles going back in time regarding the town's leaf pickup. The present highway superintendent, as a matter of fact, early on in his tenure as highway superintendent, introduced the bag leaf concept, the brown bag, which the then town board adopted and put in place, which
Okay.
significantly reduced the amount of leaves because now they were bagged and our carter was picking them up, and to this day our carter still picks them up. The significant issue we expressed by the highway superintendent last year was the issue regarding disposal of leaves. And it's an issue that I think the town board had acknowledged. And our engineer, chief engineer Drew Dillingham, agreed to accept the leaves on the, quote, north side yard, which he's responsible to manage. It's part of our sanitation. I will tell the town board that the amount of leaves that are collected through our carter and deposited there, together with all the leaves from loose leaf pickup, has really maxed out that site. And I am informing the board that the engineering department is going, if, they're going to need funds actually for the grinding. Drew, am I correct? That's correct. So the only issue, Bill can address the financial aspect and solidify for the town board whether or not we've been paying for this service. But I am informing you that based upon my research of the law, I have PERB decisions here. The town board, I have decisions wherein municipalities try to outsource and hire private contractors for the loose leaf pickup. And basically it was identified, no, it was town highway departments, those were town highway department functions. So based upon the historical evidence, based upon the law, it is a highway function, you know. It has been, and it is. So,
Anne Marie, can you just clarify what PERB means
Oh.
for the public?
Yes.
That's a legal term and not everybody would know.
yes, so
Just so we can,
I don't want to get it wrong. So it is the Public Employment Relations Board. And I have opinions which I have previously forwarded to the town board, 2 different opinions that I had sent to you on the matter. So that's it from me.
If I could just ask a question of Drew, if he'd just come up for a minute. Last year when this was another critical issue, one of the major obstacles that we encountered was some place to dispose of the material. DEC regulations are very strict on this matter. Did we ever get the permit for the 10,000 cubic yards that would have been an increase from the 3 that was allowed to us?
No, we haven't. The DEC has not notified us yet that we need to get a permit. If we do get a permit in a year's time, we're gonna be required to put in a monitoring well and then monitor the other 6 wells plus the new one quarterly.
Yeah, this is what I remember from last time we went around and around.
Yeah,
with
so
this.
it's not a little thing like it
Yep.
used to be. You used to just be able to register, which was a piece of paper, and they come and they inspect more, and you have to report it at the end of the year.
So in the past year, have we developed any new sites for dumping? Have we found other parcels within the town of Riverhead that would accommodate leaf storage?
No,
No.
what we have done is we have put an enormous amount of pressure on a licensee of the adjacent site to grind and haul off under that original license agreement. I will tell the town board, and I've worked with Drew on it, and I am advocating for an amended agreement with the licensee to compensate him for the grinding of this tremendous amount of leaves. It's, right?
Yeah, unless, the amount of leaves up there right now, Geo said he counted trucks and he estimated 10,000 yards. I think that's high, but he counted it during his loose leaf pickup this year. So there's 10,000 yards there that weren't there last year, that the Carter, or the rather Crown, isn't being paid directly for the extra work.
One more question. If they're processing the material through a
Yeah.
contract of ours,
Yep.
is it then lessening the amount of ultimate material that's on the site? Are they moving it to another area?
Yes, they are.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good to know. This way, there is a way of getting the material out of that facility and staying under that 10,000 cubic yard, if that is ultimately what we're gonna look to do.
That is ultimately what we're going to do, and the volume that Crown takes off the site, they're able to sell most of it, and we also give 100 yards to the public. And Geo has his bins, of course, at the highway yard.
Thank you.
But the town, I want to be clear. I worked with Drew, Crown, and Crown's counsel. We will require, moving forward next year, a amended license agreement with them to compensate for the grinding and removal, am I correct?
Yes, they're slowly removing it now from the hill, but we can't take another 10,000 yard hit. I just don't think what's there now is gonna be, with them not really being paid for it, but they're doing it anyway, I just don't know if it's gonna be completely clear by the time,
Okay.
So
if the board intends to use our side again as a
But
depository.
but that's why I'm alerting the town board.
We have
you
to
know,
have a contract.
So
I know.
a financial agreement will also expedite the removal of it, and then it keeps the availability of space up there, right? So as they're
Perfect,
grinding it, they'll
Councilman.
move it.
We have to have
And it
Took
comes
the
in.
words right out of my mouth. You are
Yep.
100%
Okay.
correct.
And that's why we're here
So
to
we'll do
discuss
that.
it and
You're
and resolve
100%
it, and,
correct.
As far as collection, I don't know if, she has probably mentioned it before, but he told me that he has typically 28 guys, 12 trucks for almost 2 months. So there's no way that, we're down 3 guys as it is already. There's no way we even have 28 people in my department. I don't know if you guys had planned for us to do it or for Geo to do it.
well, let's discuss the finances with Bill.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Good morning, Bill.
good morning. So as long as I have been here, and obviously this goes back to 1968, it's been a function of highway. It's built into their budget in that they have the equipment and infrastructure to do this, okay? And according to their seasons and flow of work, they have the employees to do that for that specific 4 to 8 week period. It's been in their budget as long as I've been here. There's not a specific line for it because it's included in their payroll. It's included in the equipment that they purchased and now have. There may be some supplies that are somewhere that I haven't identified in the budget process. And also last year, I've asked Geo to break out the number that he thinks it cost them. He's given me a number, but hasn't given me the detail of how much is what. So, but suffice it to say that he's doing it with the current budget he has. So, doesn't make a whole lot of sense to move that function to another fund when he doesn't have the equipment, never mind 28 people to do it at that time. Emery had talked about the, taking this outside of our town employees, union employees, that we can't do that, we can't hire a contractor to do that, so we have to have it done by employees. And it's a matter of managing the people in highway as to ebbs and flows of work. There has not been a change in his budget to increase the amount he needs in his 2021 budget at all for this function. He did the function last year, he lived within his budget, he actually put a lot of money back into fund balance last year. Part of that is because of COVID, and I'm sure he didn't run the trucks as much as he did and so on and so forth, but he put significant money back, and he has been over the last several years, so he has funds in there to do that. It's his normal employees' workflow that gets that work done.
And again, just to add to that, remember, Highway Department did not accept the leaves in the highway yard on the south side. Instead, it was your chief engineer who agreed to take them on the north
I
side.
remember that,
And
thank
if
you.
not for the benefit of the license agreement that the town had, you know, albeit I put the metal down on it, and that's why they're grinding and not getting paid right now. However, in working with Drew, understanding the volume and the amount of work and how much it truly did increase, I believe the town always wants to be very fair-minded. And in speaking to Crown and Crown's counsel, I am going to inform the board that while Drew took the onus and the work off, a portion of the work off Highway Department, going forward, if we do it again, know that that license agreement is going to be amended and coming up before the town board. That's all.
And I would say that last year was probably going to be the highest volume that you may ever see. And due to the pandemic, we did have a lot of people staying at home and working on home projects and trips to Home Depot and back and forth and working on leaves and the ground. So I imagine that there was a higher amount that was put out just from home projects at home of leaves.
10,000 yards is
It's a massive amount. But correct me if I'm wrong, because we did look over the budget, so Bill, there was money that was not spent last year that could be allocated for grinding, right? Like, we didn't spend all the money in the bags and so forth, is that correct?
Yeah, and even, not even in that particular line, but just the overall budget in the highway fund. He doesn't spend all that from year to year, and there's no specific line that I can see. We can go back and try, if he lets us know what he purchased, what supplies he purchased. That's the only line that I think we can find an actual number. We'd have to go back and look at his inventory of vehicles and equipment, suction trucks and things of that nature, but everything else is then going to be labor.
And, Bill, how's his personnel in highway?
Well, we gave him an extra person, remember?
There was
We agreed last
people-
year, we gave him an extra
There
person.
was two people, I think, at least two people that were hired last year. And have you done a comparative from year to year for the last 4 years?
We
And
have
see the
had-
staffing levels?
I believe, and I can check these numbers, we had 33 people for the longest time in that.
Okay.
I believe we have 34. I'll check on 35 if you're saying two, there may be 35, but I know we had 33 for the longest time. And he was getting it done with that, he's got 35. There may be more roads that he's getting, and that extra person is more than just pick up leaves, obviously.
Sure.
They're only picking up leaves for that 4 to 8 week period. So the extra person is really probably just a factor of the extra roads he has to plow and things like that.
I do recall at one time he was down. At one point, I thought he was down 5 people. What happened was, I think a couple of people started and then they ended up not staying, so.
He's always had 33
Right.
budgeted.
I do
But at
remember
any
us
point-
having this
yeah.
discussion.
At any point during a year, if someone leaves and you don't replace them for a month, 2 months, 3 months, and he may have had a couple of people leave at the same time and been down 2 people. That's the ebbs and flow of that happens, but he's always had budget for 33. We've always continued to budget for 33. I'll check to see if it's 35 or 34 now, but
Okay.
even at 34, I don't know that has anything to do with leaf pickup, to be honest with you. That probably has more to do with more roadways that he has to clear, because the leaf pickup is, if there's 28 people and it's a 4 to 8 week period, he has sufficient people, whether he has 33 or 34.
Yeah, I thought one of them was contingent on him assuming part of the EPCAL area that he was going to now have to keep the roads clear.
Yes.
One of them, I think, was specifically for that purpose, if
And
I
I think,
recall.
and that's why, well, I don't
Yeah.
remember the area, but that was the reason, and that's why I'm saying, I don't think the additional person had anything to do with that. That was more to keep roads clear, because as we take on more roads, obviously it takes more people to clear them.
I think the councilman's right, Berman Boulevard.
Is that what it was?
Yeah,
Okay.
something to that effect, yep.
You are correct.
So,
That's it.
That's it? So we're gonna go forward with leaf pickup?
It seems that
The board
the function
agrees?
is clarified and the finances are available. I think the citizens want it, need it. Residents want it.
And the residents have been paying for the service.
That's a service, we're not gonna, we cut, leave pickup, we're cutting a service from the taxpayers.
Yep.
And that's not what we should be doing at this point, especially with the economy and, as you mentioned, and the COVID and people not wanting to go out, and it's a no-brainer. Should we move forward with the, Frank, you're good, Catherine?
Yeah, I just think some of the logistics, I'd
We'll
love
work
to,
on
I'd like to make sure that
Yeah,
that
me
we
too.
dot the i's and cross the t's, because there are a lot of moving parts here, but, certainly it's a very important service to the community.
Absolutely. Catherine, are you on board?
As with Frank, I'm listening to everything right now. It was good to get all that information.
Okay, so we're gonna have, leave pickup?
Okay, so it's gonna be deposited in yard waste on the north side?
Yeah, we're gonna work out with Bill and Anne Marie, can you all three work out the logistics?
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you
This
both.
is very good news to me.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anything else? Okay, Devin, can you please read the resolutions?
Okay, sure.
Good morning.
Morning. Everybody ready?
Yes. Anyone has any comments on the resolutions? You can add your comments.
They can, of course, chime in anytime.
Yes.
Okay, resolution number 1 approves fireworks application for the Vineyards Golf Club, September 8th, 2021. Resolution number 2, East End Country Kitchens Capital Water Project number 82115. Number 3, adopts a local law to amend Chapter 217 entitled Buildings, Building Construction and Improvements and Housing Standards of the Riverhead Town Code, Building Permit Fees. Number 4, publish and post for the public hearing to amend Chapter 253 of the Code of the Town of Riverhead entitled Outdoor Dining to address the operation of sidewalk cafes.
Just one question on this, and I like this. I'm glad that we're moving forward. I think this was really great for the downtown area. Just want to make sure that there's enough sidewalk space in all of the hamlets. Oh, we lost Bob.
But Catherine,
It's not all the hamlets, this is downtown.
this is downtown and Jamesport,
And
and this is just,
Well, Jamesport, yeah,
Okay,
just
and-
want to
and-
make sure, that there's enough sidewalk space.
There's, written in the code is the amount of clearance that's required for
Yeah.
for pedestrians to pass through the dining area.
yeah, and the
It's
fire
written there.
marshal,
Yep.
determines that we're not gonna go outside of our code, and we're gonna make sure, and it only applies to, actually, it's not as many restaurants as we think. It doesn't apply to 58 or any of the other, unfortunately, but, yeah, this is a very minimal, and finally, restaurants are gonna have somewhat of a lifeline to extend their
Much needed
location.
one.
Much needed,
This is great.
yeah, so, great, okay.
Okay, resolution number 5 authorizes publishing and posting a notice of hearing amending Chapter 213 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Bicycles so as to add provisions permitting and regulating operation of electric scooters, including shared electric scooter systems.
And I wanted to ask, I had asked last time if the town could look into what other towns had some concerns on safety. Did someone look into that, Ken?
She could have.
To look at what other towns are doing?
Other towns I've been told other towns had some concerns with safety. I didn't know if we had looked into any other,
I think this
confirmed that.
this is increasing safety in our town. This is telling you now, when you're operating this, it requires a helmet. It tells you what roads you can go on.
Right, but
This is
still-
all about, this increases safety all around. This is
Well, that's
important.
good, but still,
So
just
it's-
that I
it's
had
an
heard
absolute
some of the
great step.
some of the towns that had electric scooter problems.
I know from a liability standpoint, when the presentation was done, that they underwrite their own insurance. So I know from a liability standpoint that was addressed.
But that's from a share program.
Right.
But this alone, without a share program, requires, people to wear helmets in there. It says that you cannot ride it up on Route 58. It has restrictions in the different zoning areas. So this addresses safety without a share program. A share program would then add additional measures of safety and to that, and insurance liabilities, insurance coverage as well. So that would be a secondary blanket of safety. So I think this is an excellent start to protect the residents.
Resolution number 6, finding that the premises known as 17 Wilson Avenue, Riverhead, New York, 11901, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 0600-106-1-1, is an unsafe structure, constitutes a public nuisance, and authorizing action to secure the premises and remove nuisance conditions. Number 7, accepts the retirement of a police lieutenant and a police sergeant.
Just on this, I don't know if it can be switched at this point. These are two really great longtime employees of our town, Tommy and Dave. I just wondered why they were put into one resolution. I just think it might have been nicer for them to each have their own resolution. Bob, do you know anything about that?
I didn't prepare the resolution, so I was not aware of what the reason was why they were incorporated as one. So I don't have an answer for
All
that.
right. I don't know, just as a matter of respect, I think it would have been nice to honor them each with their own resolution.
Well, they are twins, maybe they wanted it this way.
And they came on together, and they're retiring together, so maybe that's a
I think the
possibility.
PD prepared the resolution, but we can
All
certainly
right.
speak with them and
Yeah,
split
I
it
mean,
up.
I just think it would be really nice. They both put in
Sure.
a lot of combined years.
Great guys,
think
yep.
Yeah,
Frank's-
very good guys.
Frank's got a valid point, they might want them to be together.
Yeah.
I don't think
As a
so.
twin, I did everything I could for my brother, including we had to share the same birthday, so.
Resolution number 8 ratifies the approval of special event Chapter 255 application for Riverhead Home Depot plant sale extension.
Why is this an extension? Why wasn't this a new application?
It's a new application, they're just extending their plant sale.
Oh, I said, why isn't it a new application?
We would have to speak with Carol in Town Clerk's office, I
Okay,
think,
thank
to
you.
get clarification on that.
All right, very good.
Number 9, authorizes the supervisor to execute polling place agreement with Suffolk County Board of Elections for the use of the George C. Young Community Center and the Riverhead Senior Center for 2021 and 2020 primary general elections. Resolution number 10 approves extension of security posted by Baiting Hollow Development Group LLC in connection with the residential subdivision entitled Baiting Hollow Club, road and drainage improvements, and water key money. Resolution number 11 sets the building department fees under Riverhead Town Code, Section 217-12. Number 12, extends bid for traffic signal emergency repair and additional work. Number 13, adopts local law to amend Chapter 231 of the Riverhead Town Code relating to private fire service mains and hydrants. Number 14, adopts local law to amend Chapter 231 of the Riverhead Town Code relating to tent permits.
Devin, if we could just pause one moment. We still have ongoing discussion, so I did reach out as the conclusion of our last work session. Frank and I both reached out to different tent companies, and we are getting some insight. I would like to continue that, to hear more from them. So I would like to, at this time, until we get all the information in and to necessarily address this in the proper way, I'd like to just, right now, just make a motion to table this so that we can continue discussion with some different tent companies and get their feedback so that we make sure we're going down the right path.
All right, I'm going to second that, and can you reach out to the American Tent Company, because I know they're very
Absolutely.
large here, and they provide a big service to the community, and I think that they should be part of this.
Yep.
So if you are gonna delay it,
We have spoken.
you're not putting a stop on it, okay?
No,
Every time
but they-
somebody
but they have
pulls
great
or this, and we
ideas.
call it a stop, and you're not putting a stop, you are looking into, and that's what good legislation is all about.
I will,
To
yeah,
Get
I'll
all
definitely
sides,
tell you,
including,
they're looking for us to do regulation because it benefits them
Them,
and protects
good.
them and their safety as well. So we just want to address it all together in one thing. So I think it'd be good to just continue the discussion on this a little bit longer until we get it just right.
okay, so I'm gonna second that, and let us know when you're gonna put it back up.
Okay.
You'll be charged with putting it back up.
Yeah, and I will continue to help with that too, because I'm
Good.
friendly with some of the owners. I know McBurney is another one that does a lot of work in the town, but any help I can lend, I certainly will
Okay,
be a
do it
part
together.
of. Yep.
Thank you.
Great.
And I'm okay on holding off till you get the rest of the information.
So we need to vote or
Okay,
just, we just,
resolution number 15 accepts the retirement of a driver messenger.
16, isn't it?
I think 15?
Can you pull
the numbers are off because one
Oh.
resolution was redundant, it was already done.
Okay.
So that's why the numbers are all off by one.
I just have a quick question. Can you pull a resolution at a work session, or do you have to do it at a town board meeting?
What do you mean,
Do it.
Paul? As what we just talked about,
Yeah.
the tent? Yeah, the reason for the work
We just
session
wanna
is
make
so
sure.
that you guys can go through
Right.
and feel comfortable
Okay.
moving forward. So you don't even have to make a motion to table.
No,
It's
we
just
don't
a
even have
question
to
of
vote on it
if
or
you
anything.
agree to take it out of queue and hold it on, hold it for a future meeting.
Good, perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, number 16, bid mode budget adjustment. Number 17, accepts the resignation of a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals, Frank Seabrook.
So just a question on this one, actually a point I want to bring up on this one. We're just now voting on his resignation, but the new member already started at the last meeting. So that means at that time, there were 6 members on the ZBA.
Actually,
Bob, is there anything that needs to be done here with that?
Yeah,
actually, under New York State law, Public Officers Law, I think it's 31, upon the filing of the letter, the resignation takes effect. There is an opinion which I will send around to the town board. I've been doing some research, which establishes that under that section of the law, when an individual files their letter of resignation, it's self-effectuating, and therefore there's no further action that needs to be taken. There's some case law, there's one that goes back to the 30s that provides that upon the effective date of the resignation, which in this case was June 25th.
11.
Well, the
Yes.
letter was dated
It was
June
11,
11th.
I see.
There was also an email sent around on June 11th, both of which indicated that he was looking to sell his house, move out of state, and complete the June ZBA meetings. And I think the last meeting in June was June 24th, and he indicated in his letter of resignation that the resignation would take effect on June 25th. Under that public officers law, the law states that the resignation takes effect upon the filing, or the date set forth in the letter, or there's also a caveat which says that you can't put it past 30 days. So it would actually take effect on the 30th day. In this case, because of the fact that the letter was filed on June 25th, his resignation was effective without any further action by the town board. Now, I know we have, from a procedural standpoint, always done a resolution, because I think that way we can look and determine when people resigned, but it's not necessary under the New York State law.
But
So,
it certainly seems more appropriate to vote on a resignation and then appoint the new member. And what happened here was, at that time, I would like to see that, Bob, that you're going to send around, so I
I'll-
appreciate that.
as I said,
But
I'll-
they did even vote. They voted the other night, and,
Yeah, I
you
know.
still had Frank on there, and you had the new member who voted.
Well, actually, Frank was not on there. I know there's been some statements that there's 6 members, but that's not correct by New York State law and the public officers law, and specifically. Both Anne Marie and I did the research, because I was just wanted to make sure I was on track, and the effective resignation date was June 25th.
All
think
right.
if
And at that time, there
So
was a,
I'd like to
Didn't we
see
have
that.
a
Thank you, Bob.
sure.
Didn't we
thank
have a
you.
resolution that we voted on Seabrook
No.
a while back?
This is the first time we're
No,
voting
it is the
on
first
the
time.
resignation.
But if you resigned, you can't make someone stay anyway. You resigned, but this is just a nice formality to put it in a better presentation as a resolution.
I just
Again,
want to be clear, we don't have to vote on this resignation.
Well,
I mean, we're just doing it as a formality and to keep track, and,
we have always done it because that way it allows for someone to look at the town clerk minutes,
Good.
determine when that person resigned. It's basically a way of memorializing the fact that they did resign and when they resigned. So we have done that. Again, there's public officers law, and again, I think it's 31. I'm hoping I got the right section. And it describes how resignations to take effect. It's across the board. It talks about state agencies, state employees, town employees
good.
in the process, and I'll provide the board with a memorandum.
Good. Well, regardless, it should have been done sooner. The letter came in June, but we can move on.
Okay, resolution number 18 authorizes bow hunting for deer on town property at Enterprise Park at Calverton, Suffolk County Tax Map number 600-135-1-7.33 and others. 1751 Sound Avenue, Calverton, Suffolk County Tax Map number 600-60-1-2, and Middle Road, Riverhead, Suffolk County Tax Map number 600-80-2-10.1.
So I just have a couple of comments, and I think we're going to need to make a quick amendment to this. I see that the EPCAL is from November 1st and not from October 1st, and we did discuss that there might be some work being done at the EPCAL trail, but after having met with the deer hunting committee, Chris and Jerry and Tim sat in with us as well. They made some real great arguments and assurances that their work on the interior of the EPCAL would not even come anywhere near the bike path, and I think we really, before we go ahead with this, should, get our facts straight. Like, listen, they're managing the property, and hunting is a very dire need to cull the herd. So losing one full month, they took exception to, because certainly there's not going to be any deer near cyclists or human beings at all. So they said that having managed these properties in the past, that they could do a very good job of managing the hunting in spite of any work that was being done. So I think I'm going to go talk to Dan, and maybe we can get this amended back to October 1st. If anybody has any other opinions on it, I'm willing to listen. But after talking with them, I was very pleased to
I
hear
also
that.
did have a chance to sit down with Jerry. We had one great conversation, and he explains the necessity of
Yes.
the cultivating hunt. It limits the starvation of the deer, but also the abundance of accidents on 25, and so for safety measures. Bow hunting is obviously more controlled than using a shotgun or rifle, and so we're specifically, I think that I'm confident that they can do it in a safe manner.
Yeah, I know Tim
And
sat in
so-
on the meeting with me, and he expressed the same thing.
Yep.
So if we're all unanimous
Yeah,
on
I
that,
think-
I'd like to go see Dan and just have that amended back to October 1st.
So I agree with you, Frank, and so I'd like to see it as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm gonna say that this is the bow hunting. I think that the deer are actually really getting to be a problem. You know, the accidents and the deer ticks and just, the abundance of the herd has really gotten to be a problem.
Great.
Yeah, there was somebody last year that was sabotaging some of the stands for the hunters.
Yeah, I was really,
We got pictures of
yeah,
that
I
person.
was really impressed with their presence and how they monitor the site for the town as the
Yeah.
committee. So, I felt so much more confident with
Yep.
them being there
Yeah.
than not being there. So I'd really like to just bring that back to the original October 1st. Thank you.
Okay, resolution number 19 authorizes designated alcohol service vendors to serve alcohol at the Riverhead Country Fair Street Festival on Sunday, October 10th, 2021, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. in conjunction with Riverhead Townscape Incorporated along Main Street between Griffin Avenue and Union Avenue, inclusive of Peconic Avenue and the riverfront. Authorizes the supervisor to execute a license agreement with designated alcohol service vendors and Riverhead Townscape Incorporated.
So I want to say that I am very excited to have the country fair back. This has always been one of my really favorite events, and this is great news.
Okay, Resolution 20, EPCAL Sewer Improvement, number 20017, Capital Project Budget Adjustment.
And
Number 20.
Bob, I want to make sure that we'll be getting updates on this project, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Number 21, accepts the resignation of the Deputy Tax Receiver. Number 22, ratifies the appointment of a temporary office assistant to the Tax Receiver's office. Number 23, appoints a Provisional Cultural Affairs Supervisor. Number 24, General Fund Budget Adjustment. Number 25, accepts the resignation of a Justice Court Clerk.
So I just want to say on this one, there are two on here. Certainly, the Justice Court situation is something that we need to address. It's a challenging work environment for them there. All working, many of these people are working in one room. And this is something that we have been looking at. We need to continue to look at the problems there.
Number 26, accepts the resignation of a Justice Court Clerk. Number 27, reappoints Jean Marie Costello to the Board of Ethics for a 2-year term.
Glad to have Jean Marie back on. She does a great job.
Number 28, authorizes the supervisor to execute an amendment to the license agreement with Quinn Lee, Inc., DBA Bloom. Number 29, denial of the special permit application for Chernoff Professional Office, 323 and 331 Main Road, Aquabog, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map numbers 600-85-3-8.
And I just want to add that this is something that we needed to look at with a fine, magnifying glass, and unfortunately, this is the rural corridor, and, I don't think the people in Jamesport want this, and so we'll see where it's going to go, but I'm glad to see the resolution has been put forward to deny it, and it's the right thing to do for the community.
And I'm going to also say that I am glad that we're moving forward with this resolution to deny it. I thought all along, as soon as this came up, I knew this was going to be a problem, because the people in that area don't want a two-story building right there in the rural corridor. And I will say that I don't remember ever getting as many letters from the community on any topic as we got on this one. We continue to get letters on this topic, so I think this is absolutely the right thing to do in listening to our community.
And resolution number 30 classifies proposed town code amendment known as the Long Island Workforce Housing Act as a Type 1 action pursuant to SECRA and initiates coordinated review among involved agencies. Number 31, appoints Anthony M. LaPinta, Esquire of Reynolds, Caronia, and Gianelli, and LaPinta PC as special counsel in connection with the determination of a complaint pending before the Board of Ethics.
Bob, just one thing on this, is there a cap on I can ask you about it after. I didn't know if
I'm
there was
sorry,
a
cap on?
cap on the hours.
No. To my knowledge, there's not.
Is that something you normally put in there, or?
Not necessarily, no. I don't believe we did it on the last one where we did a similar action. I can take a look at that one, but I don't think we capped it. He is agreeing to the customary rate.
Okay, but you'll get back to me about the cap. Thank
Yep.
you.
And number 32, authorizes town clerk to publish and post notice of proposed local law to impose a 12-month moratorium on the development of commercial energy solar energy production systems.
Finally, back up. We needed this for the public. We have a comprehensive plan well in its way, on its way, and we have to let the people decide. And this is actually pertains only to Calverton. It excludes any commercial establishments, because we welcome that, or residential. It only pertains to farms.
And Dan is here if you guys want to talk about the hunting again.
But I want to comment on the solar, but first I wanted to ask, and I feel like, Bob, you would know about this. I wonder what happened to the solar project that was supposed to go at the landfill. We awarded that, but I haven't heard anything about the progress on that. Is that project stopped, or what's going on with that solar project at the landfill?
It has stopped. I did exclude it. I think what happened was, I'll be honest, I don't remember specifically. I apologize. I know that we received bids, and I know it was subject to a number of terms. I don't think they were able to get a lot of the procedural things in place.
Well, the project's not completely stopped, it's just stalled at this moment?
I'm not sure.
But you're saying...
I don't remember. I'm going to be very honest, I don't recall right now.
Catherine,
So I don't want to
know that.
misstate anything. I know that I did specifically set forth in the moratorium an exclusion for that project to go forward. I don't know.
Well, that was my question about whether, just wanted to make sure the moratorium didn't have that project in there.
No, it does not.
Certainly for the moratorium, I do think a full study should have been done in 2013 when we did take on the 1,000 acres in Calverton for solar. But at this juncture, as we're moving along, I think that we have no choice but to pause and see what happens with the master plan update, but to pause on the solar that's happening. So I'm in favor of this.
That's it?
So Dan, if you want to come forward just for a minute, so what?
Yeah, it might answer your question now.
What's that?
Well, we
Dan,
just,
for the hunting.
we were asking to.
No, there's no question, we're just going to amend it to October 1st. After speaking with the committee, we all feel, the town board feels unanimous, right, Catherine?
Yes.
That is an important month for the hunters to be on the site regardless of what's going on around the outside of the perimeter.
Yeah, with the bow hunting, I
Yeah.
don't worry as much.
No.
And I do think that the deer are getting to be a real problem and something we have to address.
Oh, I'm sorry, so I wasn't aware of any previous discussions on this, so if somebody could just advise me, what is
So-
the board's
So we,
prerogative at this point?
so what they, starting the bow hunting season, they were informed that it was gonna have to wait until November 1st, maybe because of some of the work that's being done up there.
Right, solely at
think they
EPCAL,
can-
right, so just.
Yeah, solely at
the
EPCAL.
three properties, EPCAL, Middle, and Sound.
And I think, yeah, but even with the work going on there, I think it could be done in a controlled manner, and if they said they would avoid that area if necessary, any work begins, to put pause right near any of the, so we want to make sure, number one, that we don't interfere with the repairs and work to be done on Online Road there for the trail, so we keep that maintenance, and I think the bow hunters have been more than willing to work and stay clear, and I think that they understand what's taking place, so we don't want to limit their season, because we do want to give them the opportunity to cultivate the herd, lessen starvation, protect traffic safety, other issues around there, so we don't want to postpone their season, so we want them to start, so we'd like the resolution just to be
At
amended to
EPCAL.
start October 1st at
Right.
EPCAL.
No, I certainly appreciate that, but as we know, there are project parameters here. I'm not sure, and I don't even know if engineering is sure at this point, as to what those project parameters will entail in terms of the remediation of both Line Road and the trail. So I think at the very least, we need a schedule, because I presume the board doesn't want to have the contractor in close proximity to bow hunters while they're trying to complete these projects on behalf of the town of Riverhead. So as of this juncture, I do not know where they plan to work at any given time in the coming month, and certainly the month of October.
But certainly not in the interior of the forest lands that they'll be hunting. They're not going to be interfering with anything on the outside. They're just going to be hunting on the interior of the land, is what they were telling us.
Well, we have that recreational trail that literally splits two hunting sectors. In the southwest quadrant of EPCAL, we have the recreational trail that actually runs right through Sector 8 and Sector 8A. So if they're working, that is, the contractors are working in that section in October, those hunters will be on both sides of the rec trail hunting while they're physically trying to repair that trail. That would be something that I would have very serious reservations about, given the dense foliage in that area and the fact you can't see that far because of the dense tree line and foliage line in there. So I would respectfully suggest we at least determine the project parameters and where our contracted contractors will be, or where they propose to be, a la communication with engineering. I'm just concerned from a safety standpoint at this
So
point.
we have to review this further.
Yeah,
So
I
I
think
think-
that's my recommendation at
You know
this
what,
point, since
Dan?
I'm only
Yeah,
finding
I-
about this right
we
now.
have-
Right, if you could get, then let's have that discussion. Why don't you get that information to us? You make some good points as well. And I'm gonna say that's why it is so important that we discuss resolutions at work session, so we figure this out.
I also
Before the
think
meeting
this
comes
can
up.
be, this work can potentially be completed before October 1st, this month on the trail, and therefore not interfering with the dates at all.
Okay, no
So
one
we
has
wanna-
that to me, just so
Yeah.
the board is
Yeah.
clear.
So,
No,
so
they-
I,
they
no, I
represented
don't want
it
to
to
say
us.
that we're, I would rather say potentially that it
Yeah.
could begin October 1st, and they're on the understanding that if there's work in that region that begins, or if it extends into it, that they will pause and they'll hold back, and we can have good line of communication with them.
But they don't want to be around people anyway. They want to be around the animals, and the animals don't want to be around people. So it's really one of these.
So,
So why don't we confirm all of that, Dan?
Happy to
And, you
do
know,
that.
we have a few days before the meeting.
Okay.
Happy to do that.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right, Dan, thanks for coming up. Frank, can you just try to do the logistics with engineering and see what's going on with them?
The engineering?
Well, the trail,
find out when the
with the
completion
trail,
of the
the
trail is.
completion,
Oh, okay.
and then just
Immediate
adjust
work.
the resolution.
Okay.
Okay.
And I
Thank you,
know-
Dan, for coming forward.
And I know
At
we're
the
wrapping
last
up
minute-
and excuse me, I'm sorry, 1 second. I know we're wrapping up and getting ready to go into exec. I just want to take a moment. That was a pretty wild storm last night. I do want to take a moment to thank our highway department and our buildings and grounds departments, because I know they're out today picking up a tremendous amount of trees and branches and getting the roadways cleared.
Leaves?
if they were on,
Leaves
they were
are-
on limbs.
Leaves are not
Yeah.
coming down.
So are you-
That's part of the
Are you
process.
stating they're out picking up leaves?
They're picking up trees. I had to drive around a tree to get here.
That's part of the process, right? Start now.
And before we end, I'd just like to say again, happy retirement to Melissa Messina from the tax department.
Yes.
We went to
Yes.
have a couple of cocktails with her and wish her congratulations yesterday, and it was great to see everybody coming out and wishing her well.
Thank you for
Congratulations.
bringing that up, Frank. She was such a great employee, and she moves on to a new career, and certainly I wish Melissa well.
Yes, best of luck. Okay, in a moment, I'm going to ask you to go into executive session to discuss the following. One matter concerning personnel, matters surrounding the status of an employee, and that's Hegel Miller. And the second issue, the second topic is contractual matters surrounding an agreement to secure real property, and that would be with McCormick. And can I please have a first and a second to go into executive session, please?
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So moved. Everyone be safe. Thank you and have a good weekend.